We see it all the time on the road. People texting, eating, playing with their dog even, you name it. They just aren't focusing on the road.
It's been a growing problem as more Americans try to multitask at the wheel. And it's not just what people are doing on the road, but where they're doing it that has authorities concerned.
WBIR 10 News reporter Steve Butera spent the last month looking into what authorities call a problem that is not going away.
License law in Tennessee, and they would have given you one of these little cards.
Saturday morning.
And he stops.
An orthodox time to hit the books.
What the incident was out the front and what was going on in the car.
But the lessons here are more important for Melanie Peters, for her son, and for her.
There are chances of having wrecks or higher anyhow, and then you give the distraction of them having the radio turned up, them having the cell phone and them texting, and you see people every day swerving down the road.
4 years ago, Melanie was a victim of a serious car wreck along Asheville Highway.
Someone was not paying attention, drove through a red light, T-boned me. The car had then spun around 3 times and I was partially ejected.
A year's worth of rehab.
As close to 100% as you could get. They said that the only thing they could come up with was the red light was kind of a newer red light that they had just put in and he wasn't paying attention.
The National Safety Council reports about 3,300 Americans died during 2011 from distracted driving. Many of these crashes are from the use of cell phones.
They take their office to the car, and so they're dealing with things for their kids at school, and they're dealing with the office, and they're checking email, and we see all of those things and awareness of it that we just didn't see before.
But law enforcement says it's a familiar danger.
Distracted driver will give off some of the same signals that an impaired driver will, as you know, they'll drift in their lanes or they'll change lanes abruptly. They'll speed up, they'll slow down.
Tennessee has continuously ranked the highest in the U.S. for cell phone-related crash fatalities. The National Safety Council blames cell phones for almost 11% of the fatal crashes in 2011, but there's also some discrepancy. Other states underreport cell phone crashes, dropping the national average to just a little more than 1%. So 10 News wanted to see what people were doing on the roads. So we spent 45 minutes during the morning rush at one of West Knoxville's busiest intersections, Kingston Pike and North Shore Drive. We saw 16 people driving with a cell phone in their hand. Now, we want to note that these drivers were not talking on a cell phone. And while we can't say for sure that they were texting, they did have one less hand on the steering wheel. We also saw people eating, people reading, putting on makeup, people having dogs in their hands while operating a vehicle. Then afterwards, we spent another 45 minutes in front of Cedar Bluff Elementary School during school pickup time. The number of people with a cell phone in their hand doubled.
I certainly think we've seen an increase in the number of people who are driving while they're distracted as technology advances and people have all these things that are convenient, and multitasking is made supposedly easier.
It's been illegal to text and drive in Tennessee since 2009, but catching people and convicting is rather difficult. In the last 12 months in Knox County, only 22 citations were reported, and half of those cases were dismissed. Law enforcement has to literally catch people in the act using even these big rigs where officers can see people texting.
And if you say, no, I wasn't texting, I can ask you to see your phone to look at it and to tell if you have been or not. But if you tell me that you don't want me to see your phone, I really can't make you give it to me.
The only way to solve the problem, according to prosecuting attorney Sarah Keith, is self-discipline.
Victims' families don't care if it was, a drunk driver, a gun, a bullet that killed their family member, or somebody who's texting. They know loss, and they know that person's not with them anymore.
It's something Melanie Peters still sees over and over again. She says hitting the road sadly brings up the memories of this in her mind. She hopes one story can keep 2 eyes, yours, on the road.
I lived.
Now, statistics show distracted driving is not as deadly as drunk driving, but many experts still dispute the findings. Take a look at the numbers. In 2011, drunk driving killed nearly 10,000 people. In that same time span, as you just saw in the story, the National Highway Safety Administration says 3,300 people died in crashes involving a distracted driver. Again, many experts say that number is too low and inaccurate because authorities cannot prove that the driver was distracted. Now, because this is a newer problem, and one that is not entirely illegal. The penalties are drastically different. A lot of it depends on prior criminal history. Drunk drivers could face anywhere between 8 to 25 years in jail. A distracted driver who faces charges for reckless vehicular homicide or criminally negligent homicide could face only 1 to 6 years behind bars.